Before we get into lesson 3.5, let's go over today's bell ringers. On our first bell ringer, we are being asked to add the expression 3a plus 6 to the expression 7a plus 9. When we're adding two expressions, the parentheses are really not important unless you want to practice the commutative and the associative properties. We are still going to be combining like terms. And when we look for like terms, we want to find the things that have the same variables. 3a is going to combine with the positive 7a. So 3a plus 7a will give us 10a. That eliminates options C and D. Now we want to look at the terms that do not have variables. These are called constants. We have a positive 6 and a positive 9. When we add these together, we get 6 plus 9 is 15. That leaves us with the answer 10a plus 15. Our second bell ringer has taken expressions, but has also added the distributive property in here. And if we look at this in pieces, we see that we actually have two distributive properties taking place. We have 2.5 times x plus 2, and then we also have 4.6 times 3x minus 1. So we need to do the distributive property twice. And the distributive property tells us that we're going to take the number on the outside and we are going to multiply it to all the numbers on the inside of the parentheses. 2.5 times x is going to be equivalent to 2.5x. And 2.5 times 2 is going to be equal to 5. Now we need to move to our other set of parentheses. And we are going to do the distributive property again. But this time, we're going to distribute the 4.6 by multiplying it to the numbers on the inside. 4.6 times 3 is equal to 13.8x. And our next one is 4.6 times a negative 1. And that's going to be a negative 4.6. Now that we've done the distributive property on both of these expressions, we're going to combine the like terms. We're going to begin with our x's. We will combine 2.5x to the positive 13.8x. And when we do this, we get 16.3x, eliminating our first two answers. Now we're going to do our next terms. We have a plus 5 combined with a negative 4.6. So 5 minus 4.6 is 0.4, giving us C as our final answer. I'm hoping that you are taking notes on these bell ringers as we've been doing them because they are excellent study material for your upcoming exam. If you haven't been doing this, it'd be wise to go back and look at previous videos and make sure you're well acquainted with these concepts that we've been studying. Lesson 3.5 is going to be going over markup and markdown problems. These are going to be very similar to the percent increase and percent decrease that we did in lessons 3.4. Markup and markdown. Markup is the amount of increase from the cost of an item to its selling price. This would include how a store raises a price to make a profit, but also how sales tax increases a price to what we have to pay. Percent markup is a form of percent increase. Its opposite is markdown. This is when the original price of an item is decreased down to its sale price. Percent markdown, which is also known as percent discount, is a form of percent decrease. And one thing that we need to keep in mind with this, and this would be something very good to jot down in your notes or in your book, is that oftentimes we're going to use the term rate in some of our problems. When we reference the word rate, we are talking about percent. So if I ask you for the rate of decrease or the rate of discount or the sales tax rate, I am referencing to the percent. This setup is found in your interactive notebook handouts. If you don't have them, pause this video and get these down. They're going to be very important as you move on through lessons 3-5 today. On the left, you have markup, and on the right, you have markdown. The top gives us all the work in proportion form. Your amount of markup over the original price is equal to your percent over 100. Underneath that, we have the equation setup. The original price times the percent in decimal form is equal to the markup. And underneath that, in a rectangle, is a reminder that once we find the markup, we would add it to the original to find the new selling price. So 3 things to keep in mind with markup, and it is up to you on whether or not you're going to use the percent proportion or the percent equation. On the other side, you have markdown, and as you can see, identical in the setup as to markup, except it uses the word markdown. You have your proportion, where you would fill in your pieces and cross multiply, and then you have your equation, where we need to remember that our percent has to be in decimal form. Now we come to the difference, because once we find the markdown, we will subtract it from the original to get the sale price. So keep these nearby as we start working through these questions. And we're going to begin on page 170 in your textbook with questions 4, 5, and 6. This is on page 170, question 4. An item costs $4 before tax and $4.32 after sales tax. What is the sales tax rate? This is a question that I told you about was going to use the term rate instead of percent. The sales tax rate is a form of percent increase. So we can use the skills that we learned back in lesson 3-4 to help us solve this problem, because we want to find the sales tax rate. We want to find the percent increase. And in order to find the percent increase, we need to know how much did our item change. And we find our change through subtraction. Our ending price was $4.32, and we're going to subtract its original price. So $4.32 minus $4 tells us that the price increased by 32 cents. There is a 32-cent tax on this $4 item. Now, if you're using your proportion, which is a completely acceptable thing to use, we're going to set up our parts. And since we're looking for the percent of increase or the sales tax rate, we're going to put our variable over the 100. And the change of 32 cents is going to go to the top of the other half of the proportion, because the change is the part. And our whole is the original starting point of our problem. And in this case, it's the $4, the original price. And now we can practice our cross multiplying. And our cross multiplying, I like to start with my variable, and we will do 4 times x. And we're going to set that equal to the other cross product of 32 hundredths times 100. And now we're going to practice solving this equation. 4x is equal to the above product, and 32 hundredths times 100 is equal to 32. 4x equals 32. I'm multiplying the variable times 4, so to undo that, we're going to divide both sides by 4, and we find that x is equal to 8. So to answer our question, what is the sales tax rate? The sales tax rate in this problem is 8%, meaning they add 8% of the cost to the problem to get the sales tax. Question 5 on page 170. Sheila buys 2 concert tickets from her friend. She pays $90 for the 2 tickets. She looks at the tickets and sees that each ticket has a face value of $52.50. Part A. How much of a markdown did her friend give Sheila? Well, let's see what Sheila did. Sheila bought the tickets and got both of them for $90. when she looks at them, it says each ticket was $52.50. So we need to compare each of these to the same amount. And if we know that one ticket was $52.50, we can take those, we can double that for two tickets, or we could divide the 90 to find for one ticket. Go back to the unit rate we studied a couple units ago. So I like that idea. $90 divided by 2 tells me that Sheila paid $45 for each ticket. But we're trying to find the markdown. So I want to know how much did she decrease the price of the ticket. And in order to find that, we will take the original price of the ticket and we're going to subtract the $45 sale price. When we do that, we find that there was a markdown of $7.50. Sheila got a little bit of a deal on this. Part B, what was the percent markdown rounded to the nearest whole percent? We are looking for the percent markdown. We are looking for the percent of decrease. To find that, we're going to take the change over the original price. And I'm going to do this one using the equation that we've talked about a little bit in class, along with the proportions, so that we have a little familiarity with both. But you're welcome to do either way. The equation tells us that in order to find the percent of decrease or the percent markdown, we're going to take the change of $7.50 and we are going to divide it by the original price of $52.50 and then multiply that answer by 100. By doing this, we should get an answer of 14.2857, and it goes on from there. But our problem tells us to round to the nearest whole number, so that would tell us that we have a markdown of about 14%. If you worked the proportion on this one, that is completely fine. Your proportion would have set up as $7.50 over $52.50, and you would have set that equal to your percent over 100. Don't worry if you're using different methods. Your goal is to get the correct answer. On question 6 on page 170, we're being asked to find the sale prices. Finding the sale price requires us to find the markdown and then remove it from the original price through subtraction. When we're looking at this problem, the original price is your whole, so I'm going to mark that as whole. And your markdown is your part. And we're given our 35%. You can use the equation or the proportion to solve this problem. You're free to do either. Math needs to be correct, show your work, get the correct answer. Let's use the equation for part A. The equation tells us to take the whole of $4,200 and multiply it by the decimal form of the percent. I would take my percent of 35 and divide it by 100. That gives us 0.35. When I multiply my whole by my percent in decimal form, this problem will give me $1,470. This represents the markdown. If you notice I'm labeling everything, I would strongly advise you to do that to keep your information correct. Now I can go to find the sale price. And in the box of our interactive notebook page, it says to take the original price, subtract the amount of markdown, and that will give you the final sale price. Quick and easy. But those of you that are not very confident with the equation, we do have the proportion. And that's how I'm going to do part B. And the same thing, the $5,000 is going to represent the whole. I have a percent, and I'm looking for my part. I'm looking for my markdown. So as I set up my equation, my 44 immediately goes over my 100, and the 5,000 goes on the bottom of the other side to represent my whole because it's my original price. And I am looking for the part. And now I'm going to practice cross multiplying. And when I cross multiply, I will do 100 times P, and that is equal to 44 times 5,000. 100P is equal to 220,000. Now I want to divide the 100 so that I have just P by itself, and I find that P is equal to 2,200. The 2,200 represents my markdown, and since my problem asked me for the sale price, I need to finish my problem using subtraction. The original price of 5,000 minus the markdown of 2,200 will give a final sale price of $2,800. For the rest of these problems, I want you to be working on some of these and practice them. And in doing so, I want you to work on pages 171 through 172. It may seem like a lot, but it's a lot of good practice. I want you to do questions 7 through 16. You are doing all of page 171 and all of page 172. Remember to set up your proportion or your equations on your paper before you start your work. When you set it up, you are more likely to get the answers correct. On questions 7 and 8, if you are uncomfortable with the boxes, don't use them. If you have any questions, there are some additional videos linked on the bottom of Canvas. They're excellent resources and another way to look at solving these problems. You can also meet with your math teacher at 2:15 through Canvas if you're a distance learner, whether by choice or by quarantine. And we also have after-school tutoring with Miss Long and Miss Godown if you need us. We're available for your questions, or you can inbox your questions to us and we'll get back to you. But use every resource that you have, and we'll put the answers up on Canvas in about 2 days so you can check your work.